What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 12 of building a clone base. You guys caught last week's update. I worked a little bit on getting a roof and some lights installed in the hangar bay here, and then I spent most of the time working on this lower portion of the base, getting that angled roof on this area, and just doing a bunch of detail work and adding some Republic banners. Now today I want to mainly focus on reworking the cobblestone, and I'll get to that in a bit, but the first thing I want to do is explain why I've got all these minifigures out here laying out like it's a battle scene. And really, I was just doing this for the thumbnails. I want to use some of those lightsabers and it looks really cool, but I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves setting up the battles like this, because the way I do finales is a lot dialed back at the start. Basically what I do is do a before, during, and after of the finale, and I sort of develop the story that way. So I'm going to dial it back a bit with the minifigures and just get some basic pre-battle characters out there. Now my main goal for this week is going to be to rework the blue cobblestone that I got going on behind the base wall there. I think it's just too much sand blue. A few comments had mentioned that, and I totally agree. I want to get more gray in there, but I'm waiting on a big parts order that's going to come later in the week, so we'll deal with that later in the episode. But right now I want to work on covering up all of these weird colored Technic plates, the black and the peach. Before I can go and cover everything up, I need to cover up this hole in the middle here. It's a 16 by 16 gap, and basically all it is going to allow me to do is feed the wires through for the lighting in the hangar bay without risking breaking them or anything. So I went and slapped all these Technic parts together, used a ton of Technic pins, but what that's going to allow me to do is just leave maybe a stud gap on one of the sides where I can feed that wiring down. And then, like I said before, I really don't want to break those expensive LEDs that I have, so that's kind of the thinking process behind that. So I went and plated it off, got that one stud there, and now we're good to go to put it on the base. With that hole finally covered up, we can fit the wiring through and get an idea of how it looks. And with all that light gray plating on the bottom, I think it really gives it a nice clean look. You don't have all these weird colors showing through, so I'm happy I chose to go that route. Now the trick is going to be to cover up the sides, and all I'm going to be doing is taking this half pin, putting a couple sort of side by side, and then putting a plate on it, a 4x6 plate that I'm going to be using to wrap right around the base, as you can see. Now my plan to cover up all these dark gray studs is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to do a strip of dark red on the top and then a strip of dark gray underneath, and then I'm going to top it with those dark red slopes, as you can see, and I think that's going to get a really nice clean look all the way around the base. But before I do that, I just want to lay out this second floor here and where all the rooms are going to go. You see, the interior is going to have 32 by 32 studs on the top, and then I'm going to leave the outside exposed as a sort of balcony and a way to the roof where the landing pad's going to be. So this is the general look and layout of the second floor. I'm going to have this hallway down the middle separating two larger rooms. The first room on the right there is going to be like a control room, and we're going to have some officers and clones hanging out in there. And then this back room is where we can get a bit creative. I've thought about different things we can do there and add some Easter eggs, but I'm sort of leaning towards either doing a med bay or a mess hall. If I choose to do a med bay, I could use my medical droid and my Kaminoan minifigure, but if we have a mess hall, we can create some fun stories as well, and I think it looked pretty good either way. I just think this size of the room sort of fits a med bay a little bit better, and I'm leaning towards it because I've really been wanting to use this relatively rare medical droid minifigure. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, what I should do there. So taking a break from clone base building, I want to rework this cobblestone, like I said, and I do agree with some of the comments when I first did it, saying it just looks a bit unnatural. It's too blue, and that stark color contrast with the dirt road is a bit weird looking as well. So I want to tear this all up. I've got a ton more gray ingots coming later in the week, and basically what I want to do is just make it look a little bit more natural and different instead of having these straight lines of ingots and all this cobblestone. So I'm not going to lie, after I started tearing all this up, I started to regret it a little bit just because it was very difficult to get all the tiles up. They're sort of going all over getting on the floor, and then I had to go sort everything. So it ended up taking about 3.5 hours to get everything up. And just knowing that I'm gonna just retile this all was kind of a little bit dreadful, but ultimately it'll hopefully work out in the end and look a lot better. I also went and outlined the cantina sidewalk there. Just as it's done that, the parts order finally arrived. And believe it or not, this is actually 1,400 Lego pieces. Sort of shocking how small the bag was, but to be honest, most of these pieces, actually 1,000 of them, are the dark and light gray ingots, and then the rest is just dark and light gray tile and some red tile. And your eyes aren't deceiving you, I did also throw in a baby polar bear just because I thought it looked cool. So with this influx of ingots, I can get back to work tiling this off to make it look better. This is where it really got put into perspective of how much space I have here to cover up, because I ordered 1,000 ingots and I had a few hundred before, and after getting all that done, I literally used all of the ingots that I have. And so that's a couple thousand studs covered up, more than a couple thousand, and I still have all these gaps. It looks like I covered up maybe 50% of this area, which is crazy, but that's all good. I still have all the sand blue tiles, which I'm going to go and fill in now. And I had never wanted to totally get rid of the sand blue. I think I like the color contrast, but before it was just a bit too much and it kind of didn't look right. So now with all of the sand blue put back in there, it looks a lot better. And I got some characters on here just to show you how it looks once it's kind of brought to life with some minifigures. Now that I'm done the reworking of this area, I just want to show you guys a few before and after pictures just so you can see what has changed. So this is the before on this area here, and then this is how it looks now. I just think that looks a lot better, and the same goes for just the rest of it. Here's the before. Everything looks very linear, just sort of unnatural, and this just has a lot more gray, and it just contrasts better with the rest of the mock in my opinion. I've also got a bunch of the tile required to do this 2 strips around the base, so I went ahead and did that as well, and this is really helping to transform the look of the base. Kind of gives you an idea of how it's going to look. I'm going to try to have as little studs exposed as possible once everything's said and done, and I think that looks fantastic. The other thing is I want to add some more Republic banners and emblems, so I'm going to be stealing a few from these tanks that I have. Got these stickers on the red tile there, and I'm just going to slap it on right like that, right in the middle of the arched doorway there. And then I also built up a couple banners to go around the mock as well. That's why I had these studs showing on the wall. And if you guys remember from last week, I had this banner on the lower portion of the base here. I just went ahead and modified it a little bit, adding some more dark red. Ultimately, it was a really productive week. I know I sort of backtracked and spent most of the week working on the cobblestone, but for the amount of time and money that goes into a project like this, I think it's well worth to kind of reassess and go back and fix things when you think that they could look and be better. Now, just as a roadmap for the upcoming episodes, basically what I want to do is work on this market area and the cantina next week. I really want to build this building up and create some cool stories in there. Then the week after that, I want to work on the terrain and Cutler Quain's farmhouse. That's going to be a whole week in itself. And obviously getting all the foliage and trees in is going to take some time. And then after that, I want to work on finishing up the base. And that's probably going to bring us to the end of the series, which is exciting. And I can't wait to start filming the finale. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 12 for us today. Hope you enjoyed today's update, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.